So here's a piece of cane that's been rough shaped. It's still quite wide and rough profiled. If I turn it, maybe you can see that it hasn't really been finished yet. But you can feel the shape of the profile. It's very pronounced actually in this case. So now now that the cane is dry, I'm going to finish it. Find my sandpaper. So I try to tear strips of sandpaper into fairly non-jagged strips like this one, but I use 220 mostly. This one's a bit jagged, so you just have to watch out that you don't rip the corner of the reed off if it's jagged. I sand lightly on the inside now that the cane's gone through a bit of soaking and drying. First thing I do on the outside is give it a general sanding with the metal nail file. Does that ever look strange? It's sort of slow motion in the screen. Okay, I think I need a new nail file. There's always a rougher side and a smoother side, and I like the rougher side. It feels equivalent of the 220 sandpaper. So I'm just taking down, see if we can rotate it so you can possibly see it. You can definitely see the outline of the profile, but I'm taking the rough parts down fairly vigorously. Then I'll go back in with my knife and then the sandpaper. So I do a lot of checking. Hang on, if I bring my light down, will it wipe out the image? I'm trying working at night to see if it'll photograph better. It seems to be a little bit better. In the daytime I just get far too much light on the screen. There's probably a skillful way to balance that. Now I'm just checking the sides, the taper of the sides. And truly the profile should look quite a bit like what your reed will look like in the end. This one feels a bit robust in the middle, in the heart area, so I'm going to go back in with my knife. And this side seems a bit bigger, thicker, excessively so. So I'm scraping in a way that blends in the taper, the tip taper. At the tip, you can trim it a little bit more like the way we handle the knife when we're working on a reed, but I still find I have the most control, and it's the most comfortable if I hold it quite short like this and work with the blade as if it were an extension of my fingers, an immediate extension. And when I'm flexing it like this, I'm determining if it's getting thin enough or approaching being too thin. Definitely not too thin, but it's got the right thinness at the taper and the right profile. Oh, we've got a light now. I could give you a hint of if the camera could be convinced to participate. Oh. No, I'll figure out how to do that later. A lot of freehand profiling and shaping just involves looking. It's like being a painter or a builder. Just look at what you're doing and seeing if it's heading in the right direction, while at the same time having a vision, maintaining a vision. And of course, if you're new to it, or if you want to measure it in every degree, you can. It won't harm the process. feeling sturdy. Still going to blend in the taper. Let's see if I can show it. It's kind of wavy right here. Quite decent here. Again, all of these steps can go by very quickly if you just sit down and make the reed. I'm definitely taking the time to describe it and make sure I'm actually doing what I'm telling you I'm doing. I'm going to go back across the middle a bit because the heart area is a bit thick generally, so speaking. And pause this and just position the light so that you just keep scraping a bit. I haven't found a way to successfully show you the profile through the light. I'll have to practice that and find a way, because at least at night and probably in the day it seems to just wash out. All I can see is just a bright white light. Ah, crap. Alright, my camera's in the wrong place. Hang on. There, I think you can see that better. The nail file is my general reducer. It goes across and takes out any bumps, brings down the general thickness. I still want to blend in my tip a bit more. And in a second I'll check the side tapers. I think we're quite close to having the profile finished though. Gonna look at the sides. Spend a lot of time doing that. Good. I'm going to just go over it with the 220 sandpaper lightly. Don't have to grind it. And then this way. I always flip it end for end, trying to maintain a stable position of one hand and flip the cane around because it's lighter after all. Good. I think that profile, let's see if I can find a shading where you can see it. It's good enough. And let's stop the camera and we'll come back and we'll do the finished shape.